The truthing question is, do you feel that Black people from the African diaspora, the whole like Caribbean, Africans, Dominicans, Jamaicans, etc., are one big happy family here in the United States? Or are we separated? Are we different?
That's a good question. That's a very
Thank
good
you.
question.
I appreciate that.
And I say that's a good question because you'll find so many responses. For me, it's a no. Because you'll find when we get over here, we are so different. I'm Haitian American. I identify as a Haitian American.
So were you born in Haiti?
No, I was born in Brooklyn, New York.
You were born in Brooklyn?
Yes, yes.
Brooklyn, in the house.
Yes, spread love is the Brooklyn way. So I was born in Brooklyn, raised in Queens. So I went back and forth between the two a lot. Little Haiti, Brooklyn. If you know, you know. Flatbush. And so I identify as a Haitian American because my first words were in Creole. I didn't start speaking English until I went to school, which was like kindergarten, first grade. Both of my parents are Haitian, so we spoke Creole in the home. We ate Haitian food in the home. So that is my upbringing. So,
I love that.
So a lot of American things I don't really identify with.
And so your family, your parents were not pushing you to assimilate. Because I know oftentimes when you have people who have immigrated and they have children here, they're trying to, like, as soon as they come out at birth, ensure that they
that assimilate, speak English.
Yes.
No, that wasn't it.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's what I was saying.
Right. Okay. And so I read French. My spoken French isn't that great because in Haiti you go to school and you learn French, proper French, but at home you speak Haitian Creole, which is a patois of Spanish, Indian, English, Portuguese, all of the colonizers, right? And of course the African dialect, because
it's like Arabics.
Right. So the most slaves in Haiti came from Benin or Nigeria.
Okay.
So you have that African piece with then all of the colonizers' languages. It forms this patois we call Haitian Creole. So most Haitians know Haitian Creole. And of course, there's Dominican Republic on the other side. So you also know Spanish. Right. And so that is how I grew up. That is what I know. I have an American experience because of my friends, you know, but Brooklyn again is a hodgepodge of all the Caribbean massive.
It is.
So I have Trini friends, I have Jamaican friends, I have all of these friends, but that American experience I got from my friends going to school.
Let me ask you this. Did you feel a pressure once you got to school to assimilate more, or did you go in there like with your Haitian, like, you know, what?
I grew up in a time where there was a lot of ignorance about Haiti or about Caribbean people. No, because today everybody wears their Haitian flag on their arm, right? Yeah. Back then, go back to your country, banana boat, coconut head, you eat cat, you eat goat, because it wasn't cool to eat goat back then. Now y'all all eating goat. Y'all all curry goat down.
Money. Look, right? Big money for some goat.
And oxtail.
Right? Yeah.
So now y'all curry goat down.
I'm so mad about it.
Y'all oxtail down.
Yes.
Y'all all waving y'all Haitian flag. Right. Y'all all zo pound. When I was growing up, No. I got picked on at school, very much so. And my mother and father to this day have a very strong accent. So you knew that they weren't American if they had to come to school. So I didn't want them to come to school for me because everybody would see them and I would get embarrassed. So no, it was not cool to be Haitian when I was growing up.
So you felt a pressure at that point?
Yes, at school I felt a very much pressure.
So there was a separation?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
Even, is that the same from Black Americans? And when I say Black Americans, those of us whose ancestors that we know of were enslaved here in America.
It's very different.
But I'm saying then when you were in school, would you say the black kids were mean and nasty to Haitian?
Oh yes,
Haitian
very much so. Yeah,
okay.
And I have people that I would grow up seeing. They would pretend like they were back then. It was cool to be Jamaican. Well, it's still cool to be Jamaican, but back then they would pretend like they were Jamaican. And say, okay, yeah, I'm from Jamaica. No, you're not. I know your mother. I saw her in Perth the other day. You are Haitian. Why are you out here faking like you Jamaican? Right. So, so that's how they try to like blend in.
Right.
But no, Black Americans were the people that were teasing me because I wasn't part of the crowd. I looked different. I acted different. I didn't have an accent, but I was different because there were things that they were talking about that I didn't know. Right. Like, Thanksgiving, they had chitlins and collard greens, and that's not my Thanksgiving, right? And so I had to learn biscuits and gravy. I learned those from my friends, you know, and them bringing me food or going to their house and eating their food. And that's the difference that I grew up with. So when I say it's very different, that's what I see as very different. And how we connect is how we grew up. So when you see memes of, oh yeah, I guess Nigerian moms and Haitian moms are the same, because in the Haitian household, they give you three things. It's l'église, l'accueil, l'école. That means church, home, and school. That's all they give you to do. That's all you need to be an engineer. You need to be a nurse.
Southern parents too, though. That's kind of similar to Southern parents.
Right.
Yeah. Southern Black parents, I can say.
When you really look at it and how we all grow up, you're like, oh, that's no different than how I grew up.
Right.
But we say it different. The proverbs are different. But when we really break it down, it's all the same upbringing. We have all the same moms, all the same grandmas. You know, it's all the same
Big
thing.
mamas.
It's just a little different. Yeah.
But do you think now? So you're talking about your childhood experience. Do you think now it's different as an adult? Do you think that you are different, or you think Black Americans would say, when you say you're Haitian American, you think like we're like, what you mean you Black, girl, you Black,
right?
Like, what do you think?
You wouldn't know that I'm Haitian American until you heard me on the phone speaking to somebody and I'm speaking a whole nother language. You're like, what? You know what I mean?
But if someone says to you, like when you say you introduce yourself as Haitian American, when they ask, do you think that Black Americans see that as different, or do you think they think, okay, whatever, but you're Black?
I think right now it's more accepting because of internet, social media. We're more connected, and we're like, you'll find somebody, oh, I have a Haitian friend, or I went to college with a Haitian girl or a Haitian guy. So I've had your rice, I've had griot, I've had this. So, I think right now it's more accepting because we have more knowledge of what that country has gone through. Yes. I find myself less and less when I say that I'm Haitian American. I find myself that I don't always have to give a history lesson that we're the first Black republic. And we helped the Louisiana Purchase, and a Black man discovered a Haitian man discovered Chicago. Right. I don't have to say some of those things anymore because of the knowledge that's out there due to social media and people actually doing a Google search.
Well, let me ask you this, though. Do you think that the way we see race in America, because I know when people have these conversations about race and how people see things differently, like there's a rapper right now, is it Twyla or something, that's from South Africa?
Oh yes, Kyla.
And Kyla, okay, and she's talked about how
the colorism,
right, and what she's called though in South Africa, and I think that a lot of times Black Americans will get offended because like, oh, you trying to say you're not Black, and that's not what she was saying. Where I'm from, I'm this. Yes, right. If you live in a country that is the majority, everybody is Black. You're not thinking about race the way we think about it here. Right. And so what I think happens, though, and you tell me what you think about this, there is a connection, but sadly that connection is based on oppression, and the oppression because of our race when we come here. So we could say, oh, I'm Jamaican American, I'm Haitian American, I'm Dominican American, but when it comes to race in this country, we have the same fight.
We're all in the bucket of Black.
Right. Yeah. And so does that, in some sad way, bond us? Like, are we trauma bonded, at least as we get older?
Most definitely. Because when you speak to a Jamaican about police brutality, they experience police brutality just like we have here. Right. And so what's their excuse? Because their policemen are Black. Right? You're in Jamaica, Black police, right? they understand what we're going through here with the police brutality we have here. So we bond on that level, right? When you're talking about Tyla, she said, I'm colored. She's South African.
Correct.
They have a very deep history with apartheid and things of that nature. So it's different there. They relate to some degree of what we go through here because of what they went through during apartheid and that oppression, and still go through, right? You have it in Nigeria. They just recently went through something there. So everywhere you go, it's a different version of some type of oppression, right?
Right. But so I'm thinking too, like when we talk about people from different countries in Africa, and I've had people say that my parents were very anti-black. Like, don't you go over there and be like black people.
Right.
Do you think that is part of the separation here? And does that exist, what you would say, that people are from places in the Caribbean, like where someone who is from Haiti is seen as someone different from a black person?
Oh, yeah. Especially amongst Africans and Black Americans. So Africans will call Black Americans, right? And they feel that they are very different from other people. Just like I've heard people say, oh, you're from Haiti? You guys are hard workers, right? You guys are really nice people. So that automatically kind of sets you apart because you have immigrants tend to have a different work ethic or are seen to have a different work ethic than Black Americans do. Well, not to say that that's right or wrong.
No, right. It's just, well, there actually was a study done a few years ago because they were saying, what is the tension between Caribbean Americans and Black Americans? And it's focused in New York. And what they found was that Caribbean Americans could get jobs faster, stay on longer, because one, there's a history between Black Americans and white people that white people feel more guilty when they're around us. They feel more uncomfortable. They feel safer. Because it's all, the psyche is all about how people make you feel.
Right.
So they feel safer when they're with people that are not, born and raised here oftentimes.
That's interesting.
But also there's an appreciation from people when you've immigrated here to work harder, to appreciate your job more, that Black Americans don't have. And so there was this schism because Black Americans were feeling like people from the Caribbean thought that they were better. They were being, also there was resentment because they were actually being treated better. Right. And so, they just talked about this whole issue in New York. I thought that was really interesting. I mean, how do you feel about that?
I'm not surprised that is, but you have to understand an immigrant coming from making $1 a day and not barely eating to making $10 an hour, $15 an hour. That's a big jump. So you're gonna be very grateful for that.
More appreciative.
And more appreciative. And some of that you're taking and sending back home to the people that you left behind. So you still probably making still less. But you're whatever you're making now is way more than you were making when you were back home, right?
So there's a level
there's a level of appreciation and gratitude. And so I'm gonna work because I need to keep this job until I could get a better one. Or I need to keep this job because I don't know if I could get another one because I'm an immigrant. So that's why you have them lasting longer in jobs. That's why you have them doing more work in jobs, because I want to show that I can do this work because I'm an immigrant. You think I'm a fool. So I'm gonna do this work to better than anybody else because I need to keep this job. Right. And I need that raise.
But then it builds resentment because when people do come out and speak candidly about how they feel about Black Americans, and I myself have been like, I mean, the police gonna stop you just as like it's gonna stop me. So I don't know why you think you better than me. Like, because it's hurtful, right? I tell people, when I find any sort of discrimination, it's most hurtful when it's from within your own family. Because I do consider us one big family, understanding the differences, because there's always differences in family. But I recognize as a whole that doesn't exist.
Yeah. The problem with all of this is immigrants don't realize that they're seen as just another Black person until that oppression, until those microaggressions, until it hits them in the face, right? Oh, if I'm just polite, if I'm just nice, if I keep my head down and do my work, that's not going to happen to me. They're not going to treat me like a Black American. but then they get hit with it.
You are so true.
By accident of no fault of their own, whether
Yes.
it's they pulled over for speeding, whether it's, they didn't have they get hit with it. And then they're like, oh man, this is America.
This is it.
And I got treated just like a black person.
Yep.
Even though I have this accent and I'm not from here, and I'm like, I don't understand.
Right.
I didn't know. Ignorance is not bliss in that instance,
well,
right?
It was bliss for a while.
Right.
That wake up call. I always compare it. I tell people it's like the first wife and the second wife, right? The mistress. I said the first wife is like, he treated, I was with him for 40 years or 30 years. This is how he treated me. This is who this man is. He ain't worth nothing. Or vice versa, not to be sexist or whatever. It's like the first marriage, let's say. And then the second woman is dating the guy. And she's like, oh, no, he would never treat me like that. Probably the reason he treated you like that was because you didn't act right.
Right.
But I'm going to act right and I'm going to do these things so much better than you. Then they come around, they get treated the same way. And they're like,
exact way.
Oh, he ain't worth nothing.
It's not you, sis. It's the common denominator.
Right.
So then that gap that you were just talking about becomes smaller. It becomes smaller.
It does become smaller. And that's what I was meaning. Like there's a trauma bond sometimes.
Right.
The longer you live here, where you're like, I worked my butt off. And at the end of the day, this person called me the N-word or something like that. And it's like, and that's what I was. They didn't care that I was from Haiti or the Congo or
I'll give you
Dominican
a great
Republic.
example that was like a ring the alarm bell that shortened that gap. The Amadou Diallo case in New York. Yes, I was going to
bring that up.
Right?
Yes.
That was resonated for all immigrants.
Yeah. Was that late 90s? Or was
yes.
That, yeah.
Because that was an immigrant minding his business, doing his thing. And what did those police do to him? And so for immigrants, that was a wake-up call to say, okay, I'm not really different. They just see me as a black man out here.
At the end of the day.
They do what they do and they ask questions later.
Yep.
And that's what I try to teach my children. I said, you're half Haitian, you're half Jamaican, but when police roll up on you or when somebody looks at you, you're just a black person.
At the end of the day.
And that's what they're going to see first.
Yes.
They're not going to ask who your mama is. They're not going to ask who your daddy is.
Right.
They're not going to ask what Ivy League college you went to.
Nope.
Or what neighborhood you live in. You're just a black person. And you have to move a certain way
accordingly
to get home. And that's and I think that's starting to resonate and close that gap.
I agree. I think I told people I think that what I've seen in the last 5 years, because things have been so horrific, that there's this bond like, oh, that's my sister.
Right.
That's my brother. And I even see black people having this connection to the African diaspora that I did not see before.
Yeah.
And I mean, but it's sad that it had to come about that way.
Right.
But I think it's very real.
And we didn't have social media back then, right?
Nope.
So now you have social media and you'll see people cooking rice. And you're like, oh, we do it similar, but a little different.
Right.
Like I remember I went to Africa one year. I went to Kenya and Uganda, and we were in a restaurant and this lady was serving and I was just automatically saying thank you and, and kind of talking. And then my colleague who was from the area, he said, she was talking to you in the language. And I was like, oh, really? I didn't hear her because we were kind of in like a restaurant pub type of deal. And he said, yeah, she asked me why you were speaking English to her, why you weren't speaking in the language. And I had to tell her you're visiting from America. And I said, oh, well, tell her from me, I'm just a lost child coming home to visit, right?
Right.
I guess I looked like somebody she knew.
Right.
Or somebody, I just looked like I belonged.
Well, and so, I find it too, because I got that when I was in Kenya.
Yeah.
Very much like, there was definitely a sisterhood and a welcome home.
Right.
Whatever that
and then everywhere I went, I was like, hey, you look like somebody I know. You look like somebody I know.
Right.
And I just felt this familiarity, right?
I did too.
And so, it's we're all from the same place, but it's who got off the boat first, right? And so when you see people cooking and when you see people talking about how their grandmothers did or how their parents used to discipline them or, Haitians have this thing, you can't go out to the club tonight because I had a dream last night and this dangerous out there.
Those dreams?
And,
to this day, I believe in my dreams.
Yeah. And so you see how you reacted to that. So that's bringing us together.
Absolutely.
And again, closing that gap because, I'm from Nigeria or I'm from, Jamaica or I'm from Haiti, but we all kind of had the same collective upbringing because of how our parents would discipline us, right? And culturally.
Yes.
And for me, that comes from being from Mother Africa. It's just ingrained in our DNA.
Agreed.
That's just how I feel. And so as more time goes past, that gap is slowly closing.
I sure hope it does, because I was like, how powerful we could be if we realize that we're family.
Right.
That would be huge.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I appreciate you truthing with me. I really do. I want to hear everyone's truth, what you feel about the subject, because I think it's a hot one. Comment, like, share, but let me know what you think.